guys know, the AB 3121 task force hearing is still actually going on. And so I think if possible, I might go ahead and, I don't know, I might play some of the ending of this. Today and yesterday were like huge days. And so we definitely want to talk about some of the things that um, Dr. Weber talked about, because it would just like, oh my gosh, if I could do cartwheels, in a virtual environment, I would have. Um, and so, ooh, I see these requests are coming in. I thought I approved. Here you go. Here you go. Okay. But I'm going to try and just get some of this recording going while we're waiting for the room to fill up a little bit.
They can't be anywhere near the Capitol. They can't get in a car with another member. They can't get in the car with special services. You become quarantined for 5 to 10 days, depending on your situation. And so I would suggest that we adopt kind of the same cautionary provisions. Again, the last thing we want is a serious outbreak, and they go back to this task force as the one that's the super spreader. So I guess I'm saying whatever the governor says, let's follow what precautions he puts out.
Member girls. I'm mute.
I'm sorry. Is it possible then for me to make a motion on all of this? We'll take a stab at it. Okay. So I move that we approve the February, March, and April meetings as laid out by members Moore and Lewis, Chair Moore and Member Lewis. And with the April meeting, that it will be in person if there are no governor's orders. If there is a governor's order, that it will then be virtual.
Is there a second?
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded that for the February, March, and April hearing topics are approved as outlined by myself and member Scott Lewis, and that in the event that the executive order from the governor is not lifted, we will meet virtually. We'll continue to meet virtually. Is there any discussion on the matter? Hearing no discussion, I'd like to turn to Parliamentarian Johnson so that a roll call vote may be established.
Yes. Yes, the motion, I will call the roll for the motion.
All right, they are solidifying, I guess, COVID rules for the next couple of months' meetings. And while they're voting on that, I just wanted to take a minute to thank everybody for rolling into this room. The work that has been being done on AB 3121 between NAASDLA and the Coalition for Just and Equitable California with Chris Logsdon and that coalition of California folks has really just been astronomical. And I think we kind of saw the culmination of our work show up yesterday with Dr. Weber. I'm going to pull up some of the tweets. This is our first time doing this. We're going to try and do more of this. But I want to drop some things in what they call the Jumbotron. I'm used to being in rooms, not being a host. So bear with me as we do this learning curve. I know of the past 2 days, with the, what was it with the tribe? One of the speakers, I know you guys were following.
Secure the tribe. Secure the tribe.
I think we very well secured the tribe yesterday. And so I want to try and get some graphics and actually want to, you guys know Chad Brown, the co-host from Politics and Black, brought to you by NAASDLA. And we have the Queen of LA, Miss Tiffany herself, here with us, and my brother Arthur Ward up on the stage from the Freedmen, U.S. Freedmen out of Chicago. But I wanted to just give Tiffany the mic for a minute to talk about how we got here in terms of what it took to write the legislation. I also see Marcus. I saw Marcus down in the audience, but I know Marcus has like 3 babies right now. But I wanted to give Tiffany the opportunity to just talk about some of the steps it took for us to actually get to this point. So Tiffany, you have the floor.
Okay, can y'all hear me? I'm not sure if you can hear me. Let me know.
We hear.
Sound clear, Tiffany.
Perfect. Okay. So just to make a long story short, we first heard that there was going to be legislation written for reparations about 2 years ago. And so Chris, who's out of Sacramento, began having preliminary meetings with Dr. Weber's office. The bill was written. We finally, started working with members of Dr. Weber's staff. And eventually we got to meet with Dr. Weber herself. And when we presented the case for reparations and specificity, she was already there. She didn't need to be convinced. She understood immediately. And so it was like from day one, she was on our side. And that just helped us to strengthen our relationship. So, when we saw the bill, we asked if we can make amendments, because when we first came to the bill, it basically was just a carbon copy of HR 40. Dr. Weber's staff literally copied the federal bill word for word. And so what we did was we added the amendments that were basically advocating for HR 40 to AB 3121, including the specificity. And she approved it. Marcus Champion, who's on our team, actually went to a legal consulting group to make sure that the language was legally sound. And it was. And what it said was the recipients were African Americans who descend from persons enslaved in the U.S. So that was in the amended version. And we also had a clause added that what we're doing here doesn't supersede federal reparations. So we got those 2 amendments added. It went through the California State Legislature. That's our state assembly, our state Senate. But towards the end of the legislative process, a last minute change was made to our language. And I believe Dr. Weber touched on this yesterday during her testimony, that the language was changed literally at the 11th hour. We weren't consulted about it. We just got a notification that a change was made to the bill. And so when, I went to find out like why, the change was made, Dr. Weber shared that she wanted to ensure that those folks who were living in the U.S. during slavery were included. So it was never an intent on her part to make the bill open to every Black person in America or California. She just wanted to make sure that the free folks, like for example, in Louisiana, there was a class of free Black folk many of whom migrated to California during the Great Migration, that they were included. But if you read the language, that isn't really 100% clear if you didn't know what happened. But that was pretty much, where she was. She never intended it for the recipient class to be any other group but those of us who descend from U.S. slavery and the small amount of folk who lived in the U.S. during slavery times. And so we never wavered from that. There was, people who were on the task force may have read that bill and had a different interpretation of what the bill meant based on the specificity clause. But as CJEC and NAASDLA, we always maintain that, specificity is of the utmost importance, and that the recipient class should always be Black Americans who descend from U.S. slavery. We never wavered. We never compromised at all. And so yesterday was just pretty much Dr. Weber herself being consistent. We had a chance to meet with Dr. Weber maybe like 2 weeks before the testimony you heard yesterday. And she was clear, this is what I meant. Same thing she told us back in June when it was changed. And she basically kept, she stuck to her guns. So what you heard yesterday is basically what we've been hearing from her. She never wavered. And so it was just like a validation of our work. And it was great to hear her finally say that publicly, because we've been saying it, but people have been calling in saying it. And so you heard it for yourself. So that is pretty much the short version of how that language got in, how we got the language in. There's a lot more that can be said, but in the interest of time, I'm going to leave it here.
All right, thank you for that. And so you guys see, I posted a bunch of different items in the Jumbotron because I just wanted to kind of walk through some of the things that Dr. Weber talked about. Although that's weird. In one screen, I can here they are. Okay. So yeah, I think in the third Jumbotron, she said reparations are for those that descended from slaves first. And she underscored that recent African immigrants, were not part of her initial intent with this legislation. And that was just really, really huge for her to go there and for her to be unafraid to go there. I've been this week in a couple of rooms with like different people running for office, and I did try to ping them to come into this room because I feel like there are folks on both the Democratic side and the Republican side who have these kind of preconceived notions of what reparations is supposed to look like or is not supposed to look like, even in terms of fiscal conservatism. And in terms of looking at the Constitution itself, there's no way to have a sort of all people kind of reparations bill because it's not going to stand up to the Constitution. She made it very plain. Chad, if you want to talk a little bit about your take on what she said, and I'm going to just put you guys on mute, and Chad, you can talk. I want to kind of pop back into to see what they're talking about while this hearing is still going on.
Yeah, no, thank you, Friday. And thank you, fam, for being here. Thank you, first of all, for being tuned in to this process, as it is a historic process. There's nothing else occurring in the country like this currently. Nothing else has happened in the country like this historically. So this is unprecedented and historic work that's being done. So if you're tuning into this, you're in the right place. It means that you're serious about the reparations fight. And for my takeaway, specifically on Dr. Weber, we had, we were part of a conversation leading up to the task force meeting where Dr. Weber testified. And, we just kind of confirmed with her the original legislative intent that she had when she was involved in the process of developing the language. And just like you heard Friday and Tiffany say, she has been unwavering and steadfast in her position that reparations are specifically for the persons who descend from U.S. slavery, Black Americans who descend from U.S. slavery. So that has never been there's never been any give or any kind of, waffling in that position from Dr. Weber. And so we just wanted to make sure, prior to this meeting, and also, if you've heard us in past meetings, we've all been calling up and kind of saying, you need to bring Dr. Weber in here, because there was the conversation around eligibility was kind of sparking up and becoming a hot button topic. And so we wanted to make sure Dr. Weber was brought in, that she had a chance to express her intent, because we know her intent squarely aligned with our intent and what we see as the correct pathway. And it's also something that we've been validating in different sources, right? So if you watched any of the past Politics and Blacks, we talked to Dean Erwin Chemerinsky, who is...
Ooh, you breaking up a little, Chad.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Go for it.
Okay, yeah, I got 2 kids and a wife on the Wi-Fi too. So, if you've been following any of the conversation on Politics and Black, we interviewed Dean Erwin Chemerinsky on a past show. And, Dean Chemerinsky has said the same thing that you heard from Dr. Weber, is that a lineage standard is really the only way forward for a thing like a reparations claim, specifically and particularly in California, where we have Prop 209 that prevents the state from doing anything on a race basis when it comes to education, employment, and contracting. But then when you start talking about the larger context of reparations, we have the 14th Amendment and equal protection that could stand in our way, because obviously you can't do anything based upon race under equal protection laws. So we have been building a case around lineage and around the specificity that's required through Politics in Black, through our advocacy and the meetings that we've been having behind the scenes. And so it was just really for us a matter of time before Dr. Weber was able to, the schedules were able to align. She was able to come to the task force meeting and provide testimony, which, if you watched that, was very powerful. She was, about as clear as you can be on the topic. I don't see how anyone could misconstrue her words or have heard anything different than what she said and what she meant. She said what she meant what she said, sort of thing. So I just wanted to pull that out. And also, I guess another thing that I'll touch on is, we've also been in contact with John Tatieshi, who led the Japanese American Redress Campaign. And so one of the things, he's also confirmed with us that, in his experience in that successful campaign, that one of the critical items that they had to deliberate on and come to a decision on was who was the beneficiary class and who's eligible for reparations for internment or redress for internment. And so we consulted with him not only on AB 3121 and what we were doing here, but also on Bill HR 40. And so he's confirmed what we've already kind of known to be the case, that number one, Bill HR 40 is woefully insufficient. And I see Arthur here, so I know Arthur can talk about that and the myriad of flaws there. But John Tatieshi, who led Japanese Redress, he agrees with us that HR 40 is insufficient. And he also agrees with us that AB 3121 is vastly superior in the language. And HR 1865, which I'm sure we'll talk about a little bit more too, which is the replacement bill, the alternative bill the NAASD has developed, is a much superior federal reparations bill. And so I just wanted to kind of give folks a brief background on some of the advocacy that's been going on behind the scenes, and reiterate, as I always do, these are everyday grassroots folks putting in this work. They are just showing up and they are showing out and they're getting results. And so I invite anyone, I don't care where you live, to get involved and get engaged, either at the national level, at the local level, at the state level, however you can, because that's what's happening. That is what's occurring. And I want folks to be excited about that, because this is not, this is us. This is our community, and we're getting this done. And what you saw from Dr. Weber was a result of that advocacy. So with that, I'll stop talking, and I'll pass it back to you, Friday.
Yeah, I think she moved to the listener spot. We need her to come back up. So, NAASD, can you bring her back up?
Yeah, I also wanted to say to your point, Chad, that what you said about it doesn't matter where you live to get involved to help push the right reparations package. We have others to contrast, such as in Evanston and other half-hearted, misaligned attempts. And now we want to make sure this is done right so that it's templated.
Yep.
And this would be great training ground for when it comes to your state next, because it's going to be like a domino effect.
No, absolutely. That's a great point, Laurie. Thank you for making that. And one of the things that we're looking at also is, and I've been talking to Marcus a lot about this, is trying to see if we can develop some sort of, national think tank where we're bringing in, stakeholders from other communities. We're talking you through kind of what we saw as our pathway here in California, because it's going to be different wherever you live, right? Not everybody has a super majority of Democrats, that can move something like this forward, I won't say easily, but we got it done. So every situation is going to be different. So we have to adapt our strategies to fit whatever the conditions are on the ground wherever you live. So that's something that we're thinking about, and I'm open to questions here or feedback here to learn, if that's something that folks would be inclined to take advantage of, if that would be helpful to you in your local advocacy efforts, and how we could structure something like that so you get the most bang out of it and are able to be effective. Because at the end of the day, AB 3121 and whatever comes out of this task force at the end of the day is just a start. We are all pushing towards the federal effort and the federal reparations program. So AB 3121 is just one piece in that puzzle. We need all the pieces to make sure we have a complete picture and that we're getting this done in the right way.
Great. So just so you guys know, the last motion they made before closing out the event was the chat. And I don't know how many folks in the audience were able to attend any of yesterday's or today's session, but certainly yesterday's chat was a lot more hot than today's chat was. And I think it's important to talk about the fact that we even fought for the chat, because the chat was taken away after the very first hearing. And that kind of shocked all of us, because you're seeing responses from community in real time. And CJEC, ADOS, Lord help, forgive me for that Freudian slip there. NAASD, LA, and CJEC had to fight really, really, really hard in order to work with the DOJ to basically assure that the chat would be a place to exchange information and ideas and not turn into some sort of hate mongering space, filled with this and that. And so the fact that they are going is even like we're ending off this particular session with a win. And so I'm
You're breaking
excited
up,
that
Friday.
we even have breaking up. I didn't finish.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sitting here so happy. Now I don't know. It must be my energy with the internet, because I didn't move. But I brought Marcus up because Marcus and I hope Chris will be able to hop into this room. Marcus and Chris are the two people who actually worked on the language that Tiffany spoke about earlier, and I wanted Marcus to talk just a little bit about how we got to that place of the language being it wasn't our original language. So talk how it went from being our original language to what it is now, and the time span we had, because I think a lot of people, they don't understand what it takes to be consistent under all circumstances. And this story is a story of perseverance. So Marcus, go ahead.
Can you guys hear me? Because my internet is out. My phone connection is shitty in my house. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we hear you. There's some background noise, but
We hear you and your background. And we heard baby Z today, and she was part of the record, and we loved every minute of it. She made her way to the history book.
Yeah, she testified today.
I mean, yeah, so the language as it is, just if I take you on story time real quick. So we met with Dr. Weber in spring of 2020. And so at that meeting, we found out she was already all in. Like, we went into that meeting to talk about where AB 3121 was, because it just said African American at the time, and that was it in terms of eligible party. And so we wanted to try to educate her and get her to allow us to make changes to it, or if she herself will make a change. So after that meeting, she liked where we were coming from, and she gave us the space to be able to work on the bill. The problem is that meeting was like on a Wednesday, and we had like a deadline of like 11 a.m. on Friday to get language submitted. So my wife works in local government, so she had a connection. So we were able to speak with a lobbyist. And then a friend of mine I went to college with had a connection with a legislative attorney with Policy Link. And so we had already crafted 9 amendments as our California group at the time. And so we submitted them to the legislative attorney and to the lobbyist, and they pretty much threw out everything. Well, no, they said everything was good. They said the problem is at the time we were ADOS, and they were like, ADOS does not work. American Descendants of Slavery does not work as a designation because there's no legal precedent. And so from that, and kind of brainstorming with the lobbyist and the attorney, we came up with African American, because that is in the regular nomenclature and it's a legal term, but we added on descendants of persons enslaved in the United States. So from there, we made the changes to our amendments. And what I did was, none of us do this professionally. So I just looked up how our bills edited because I knew we were on such a time crunch. We couldn't submit something half-assed and hope they just incorporate it. We had to present it to them in as complete a form as possible. So I looked up how bills are amended, how they're redlined, and how language is added in. And I pretty much just took our amendments and did that. And so from there, Chris got it and he cleaned it up. And then we submitted it to Dr. Weber's office. And from there, they said, this is good. We're going to keep two of these. And so they ended up keeping the next to last section called Reparations. It's section 6A301.5. And that says that basically this reparations body will not supersede or overtake any federal reparations. And then our description of eligibility, which was African Americans who are descendants of persons enslaved in the United States. So from there, we went through the whole process. We went through both the House and the Senate. But then at the very final vote, there was a change made to the bill. We got an alert that there was a language change to the bill. And we saw that special consideration was added. So from us understanding that, agree or disagree, there are Pan-African leaders in this space and they have their particular thoughts on reparations. And at the time, the Bunch Center at UCLA was serving as Dr. Weber's liaison until we came in on the bill. And so we know that there are Pan-Africanist leanings within the Bunch Center. So we thought that they were the ones who made that change. Myself, Tiffany, and Chris Lotson, we got on the phone with Isaac Bryant. What is he now?
Assemblyman. He's Assemblyman.
Assemblyman Isaac Bryan. He was just Isaac Bryan at the time at the Bunch Center. Me, Chris, and Tiffany were on the phone with him for 2 hours trying to negotiate a word better than special because Isaac was taking credit for the language being changed. I believe he was just taking credit and he didn't even understand what was going on at the time. But from there, we actually came up with, okay, special isn't as targeted enough. And so we came up with words like explicit or specific consideration, trying to narrow something down. And this was with consultation with Dr. Garrity. And so we spent 2 hours on the phone and that's what we came up with. Later on in a conversation with, in an email conversation with Dr. Weber, Dr. Garrity, myself, Chris, and Tiffany, we found out that Dr. Weber was actually the one who made the change to special consideration because she wanted free Black folk at the time. She wanted to make sure that their descendants aren't excluded today. And so Dr. Garrity said, well, that was such a minimal number in 2021 or 2020 when this was going on. By this time, they would have been intermixed with the slave population at the time. So it would be almost impossible for any of their descendants to be left out. Dr. Weber was intent on free Blacks not being left out because, as she said in her testimony yesterday, free Blacks, even though they weren't slaves, still lived under the threat of being put into slavery. They still could have their land taken away, still could be killed with impunity. They still suffered the same things outside of slavery. So that's how that went. And of course, the bill passed the legislature. It was signed by Gavin Newsom on the very last day. And I have to credit Tiffany because Tiffany was the one, Ice Cube has been in our space. He was on Antonio's show in 2020, and he's been kind of in the reparation space. But Tiffany was the one who initially got the meeting with Cube, and our LA group sat down and talked with him and actually brought him into the fold to kind of start doing work with us. And so it was Tiffany who called on Cube to hit up the governor and Maxine Waters to hit up the governor because he was waiting until the very last minute to sign the legislation. And so we had the signing ceremony and it's all she wrote at this point. I don't know if that covers everything.
That covers it from beginning to end. And we have the commissioner has entered the building, y'all. Let's make some space for, and Tiffany, we'll circle back. Let's make some space for Commissioner, Chair of the AB 3121 Task Force. I want to call you Doctor, but Attorney Camila Moore. I mean, there was a lot to unpack from yesterday. There was so much. I think that Dr. Weber said, honestly, she left us high. She left us full. She made, the work that we do, like she made it meaningful yesterday. Can you just talk about some of her testimony, that as you understood it and as it was being received? I know there are limitations on what you can and cannot say, but just talk about the things that she said and the pieces that stuck out to you the most. Camila, welcome to the space.
Hi, thank you for having me. I will say that what Secretary Weber said was absolutely astounding to me. It was music to my ears, and I was fighting back tears the entire time. um, Not only just because she infused, her personal story of her family having to flee from the Ku Klux Klan in Arkansas, and that's how she was able to, move to California. That's why she moved to California, it was to flee racial terror. And, I identify with that. All Freemen identify with that as folks who, our ancestral homes are in the South. Many of us stayed in the South, and many of us left due to, better economic opportunities in the West and in the North. And, to flee racial terror. Our lands were being confiscated and all of that. And so I'll be brief, but I'll just say what she said, was just miraculous to me. And it was really heaven sent and ordained, in my opinion. And I think it took us right where we needed to be for our next meeting, which will occur on February 24th, 23rd and 24th, where we will hear from, and I think you all already talked about this, we're going to hear from UC Berkeley Dean Erwin Chemerinsky, who was the foremost constitutional law scholar in the country, let alone in the world. And he will, give a lecture, I suppose, on Reconstruction and constitutional law, but hopefully he'll also speak to exactly what Weber spoke to, but in a more legal lens, whereby, essentially I anticipate he'll say that the community of eligibility needs to be based on lineage rather than race. So yeah, I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I know you had a long day, so I appreciate you, being here, speaking with us. I mean, that was a lot, guys went over a lot today. So thank you.
I have to admit, I had to laugh. I said, when Chad and I interviewed Dean Chemerinsky, he was like, no, they invited me on this date and I had this for the law school. And then they invited me on this date. And he's like, I just can't make it. He's like, but if I need to do written testimony, and I was just so nervous that he wouldn't be able to come, like soon, I transmitted the whole interview. That sucker was like 6,000 words. So when at like the end of today's session, they were like, oh, and we're going to have Dean Chemerinsky. I was like, oh, someone could have saved me those 6,000 words, but you got to stay on the ready. You have to stay on the ready. And so I'm glad he's going to be able to come through and, add some life energy. We do want to get folks up. If people, were watching, because I think the last 2 days were highest attended dates thus far. I mean, I think that Dr. Weber definitely brought I don't know. I think she brought more attendees. I feel like that in the Blue Jeans app, the number of participants was the highest that I've seen it. So her presence was great. And I did see, on social media, I actually did see people, who she had taught, who were like, I'm so glad you said this. My teacher is speaking. And so just seeing her legacy kind of live in the space where we spend a lot of time, that was also really cool yesterday as well. So if anybody does want to come up and speak, let's go ahead and make that happen. And I'm going to try and add some. Yeah, the first thing I have to admit, I was really horrible with trying to get the actual speakers' names, because it's hard to be, multitasking and trying to hear who the speaker was and not having the agenda. But I think it was really great that we were able to like tweet in real time. And I think AB 3121, it's definitely a reparations thing. You have to be looking for that hashtag. But we put some things up. There was a disturbing graphic that came up, and I'm gonna find that one for you guys to share. And if someone wants to come and ask questions or just share, their thoughts on the last couple of days, ping us and we'll get you up.
I was gonna say, can I just say one thing? I think to your point about the attendees attendance, it hasn't been as great as I'd like, but I think that everything happens for a reason, and I think this meeting was a turning point. I think not only for myself and just how I'm kind of going to approach this moving forward, but I think it should be a turning point for other folks as well. So what I mean by that is, I anticipate that next month in February, as we're going to have a final vote on who is eligible, that we use that, as leverage and as a way to continue to push the message, as there is going to be finality, right, as to who this is really going to be for. I'm kind of speaking in code, but that's it. I know you all know what I mean. So we're gonna have to increase public engagement and outreach, right? And I think that increase and push will have to come after that vote is finalized.
Yeah, I could see, like, unfortunately the task force has to make a decision. And I can see everyone is like, like the worst chore your parent can give you. No one wants to really make it. But at this point, I think people are going to have to stand on their convictions, whatever they are, as you all vote on who the beneficiary class is going to be. That, Dr. Weber was unequivocal in her response. And as the bill author, I think you have to honor where she was coming from. And she said, I thought I had pulled it up. Oh gosh, I need to be all the way over here. Gosh, I had the perfect quote. I don't know what do you call this thing? A Jumbotron? Anyway, I have to find her quote again because I had it up in preparation to read it.
Also,
and,
y'all need help with, I think y'all need to put the video up on the NAASD account, like the actual video, so that we can
Yeah,
use
it's
that
already
to
there.
not just
There's
the
an
quote.
abbreviated version that really cuts out the some of the stories, but there's the full video with everything from beginning to end. I'll post it and share that now. It's on a different YouTube too, but I'll share the link on our Twitter space.
Yeah, and
You
I
can,
would just add, Friday, if you could also post the link to the Politics in Black discussion where we talked to Chris and Tiffany, and I think even Marcus came up for a cameo, but where we talked to them about exactly what happened behind AB 3121, the history behind that. Because one of the things that we attempt to do, fam, is make sure that we're always being transparent and communicating with you and letting you know what's going on, so that you can get involved and be effective. So, if you are in this fight, we want to deliver information to you. So never hesitate to ask us any questions and give us your feedback. With that, I see Ty's hand up, so I want to allow him a chance to speak.
All right, thank you, Chad. Long time no hear from, bro. Thank you.
Good to see you, brother.
Good to see you all. Friday, Tiff, Camila, Marcus. We got to talk later on. I'm not happy to see Arthur because we haven't finished talking about what we talked about already. So we'll talk later, brother. Any case, my
okay?
I'm still coughing, but I'll live. I'm getting better though. Thanks. What I want to say is just in 2 quick points. First off, I love the hearing. I was there for a minute. Everything was working well. Somebody needs to tell me how Angela is always the first one in the hearing to put out her statement.
I think she sleep. I think she sleeps. She camps out. I said she camps out the night before, Ty.
Oh, well,
Either way, it's amazing. I mean, she's literally the first one every time.
And
I mean,
she
yeah,
starts us off with fire. So I'm not mad at her. She starts us off on a good note.
I'm not mad either. I'm like, wow, how the hell is she always first? We need to see what software she's using. We need to get that software. That's all I know. Anyway, secondly, I'm really concerned about the hashtag organization putting out now. They're big on fighting on misinformation. Why are they putting out misinformation on AB 3121 and how it was set up? I mean, this is ridiculous because you're not involved in something, you want to tear it down. That is not
Yeah.
the way to do things. That really is not. I mean,
Can I?
basic. Yeah, yeah. Hey,
Well, I
go
think
ahead.
our goal here
Say,
is to not focus on what other people are doing, but to really kind of bring home the point that once Dr. Weber solidly clarified who the recipient class is, that makes the I guess once the vote is passed, it makes it so much more easier if the intent is to honor the original author and what their intent was. And I think she laid the groundwork for that. And like Friday said, that was just, I mean, it was just such a humongous win for all of the work that everyone in the state of California has been putting in. Head down, grind every day, tune out the noise and the foolishness, because this is all that matters.
Absolutely. And on that note, this is the second and final thing I wanted to say. I love how Dr. Weber put out specificity and actually identified the specific lineage that should be the only consideration for reparations in any way, shape, or form. Only thing I would suggest is, and I already know that you guys know this because you're a freedmen organization, I would also put in there like American freedmen because that is very specific. A freedman is a Negro emancipated slave, okay? Their family or the descendants, as well as those who were freedmen in this country who were not slaves, but they were here for all of the garbage that we had to fight through. So that would make it that would delineate it even a lot more, in my opinion. You can't. They can't say, well, it can't be based on race. Well, it's not based on race. It's based on American freedmen, which just like AAPI or Latino or Hispanic are a specific group of people that just happen to be a race. That's all I have to say on that. Thanks.
Yeah, and I'll just quickly respond to you, Ty. So obviously, we are very aware of freedmen political status, and it's something that we are pushing for. As you heard Marcus say, at the time when AB 3121 was in development, it really was a question of what is the legal, status that we can use, and how can we kind of take a scalpel to that and get more precise so that we're talking to lineage. But I do want to, remind everyone here, we also have, AB 3121 is just one segment of our advocacy. We also are pushing, AB 1604 out here, which is the Upward Mobility Act of 2022. And in that bill, we have language that even further clarifies lineage and who would be the beneficiary class. So AB 1604, what it would do is require all state agencies in California, so that's all agencies, commissions, and boards, to start collecting data for our specific lineage, for Black Americans who are descendants of persons enslaved in the U.S. And part of what we're talking about now is in conjunction with AB 1604, actually introducing a standalone bill that would do just what you're talking about, Ty, and link freedmen political status to the lineage of Black American descendants of persons enslaved in the U.S. So we're looking at a double knot out here in California and making sure that what we're doing is not only defining and codifying the lineage into law, but also looking at linking that lineage to freedmen political status. Because I agree with you, that is the pathway to get to a federal reparations program at the end of the day. So it's very much something that we're talking about and strategizing on and trying to figure out how to best, move out here so that we build a ironclad case.
Okay, thank you for that, brother. I'm gonna move myself back to the audience now. Thank you, Kev.
Absolutely, brother. I always appreciate you showing up and your input. So please keep coming around.
If I get better, I'll come around more. As you can tell, I'm still pretty sick.
Yeah, and feel better soon.
Bye.
go ahead, Arthur.
Hello, everybody. I'm just here to say that Angela's opening and Dr. Weber's ending was just a real breath of fresh air. And at this time, I'm just really super tired of the specificity question constantly coming up. It's like we keep, the Pan-Africans keep putting us right back on square one, and then we got to fight our way out of it to get to the other parts that we need to be concentrating on this time. I'm not sure what Dr. Grills and Lisa Holder are trying to do, but I just hope that the rest of the panel that's about specificity just holds fast and allows us as freedmen and as descendants from American slaves to get this done properly. That's all I got to say at this point, unless someone has a question about HR. Thank you.
Arthur, and I would just say just quickly to that, thank you, brother. Obviously we are aware of some of the dissenting opinions on the task force, but understand that they're not deliberating in a vacuum either, right? So the task force, what they're doing is collecting data, and they're going to then synthesize that data and come up with recommendations. But we are going to be squarely involved in those recommendations and that process as well. So I want folks to, be a little cautious about allowing, we got to be prepared to hear things. And Chris says this all the time. We got to be prepared to hear things that we don't necessarily like. But the work happens in the interims between these meetings where we are meeting with folks and we're advocating for what we know to be the correct pathway. And so if you hear something you don't like, we have to get past just having a knee-jerk sort of triggered reaction and start listening past what you don't like to where you have points of agreement, and then where you can mold the person who said something you don't like perspective, right? And so what we're doing out here is very much in that vein. We are working with, all task force members to help them and help guide them through this process. Because, I've said this before, based upon kind of the research and the study and the advocacy that we've all been engaged in for, 3-4 years now, we are very much kind of the experts in the room, unless Dr. Darity is in that room, then he's the expert, right? So we have to understand that, and we have to help folks who may be, on the right page, but it's the wrong note, or maybe a little off key with what the note they're playing, right? We have to help those folks and help educate them. And that's the primary foundation of what we're doing out here in California. That is a fundamental pillar of what we're doing and why we've seen such success, because Dr. Weber was an anomaly. She already kind of had the data. She was already ready to go on specificity. But for everyone else, it's been a process, right? We've been educating folks. We've been bringing in experts to help speak to it from, perspectives that they can understand, like a Chemerinsky, like a Tatieshi, et cetera, and making sure that we're always talking about specificity. Because at the end of the day, I know folks are like, why are we still talking about this? This should be a foregone conclusion. But understand that what we're doing is we are collecting this for a durable record. The state of California will have this on record forever. And so given that, it's just like, in any sort of legal proceedings, we want to make sure that we're building a mountain of evidence on our side of this case, so that when this goes into the permanent record, there's no question about who's the beneficiary class. And it's also a very strong precedent for the federal case that we're building as well. So I just want to let folks know, stay engaged. If you hear something you don't like, don't let that trigger you. Just understand that means that's the space where we need to insert ourselves and advocate and educate.
Well, and the other thing that was really encouraging was it seemed like there seems to be a critical mass of people coming to the proper understanding and the right understanding just from ordinary people who may not be particularly engaged to the degree that maybe you and I are, but clearly understand what the implications are, where we need to go, and how they need to be articulated. That was very, very encouraging to me. And that was actually the best part of what I was watching.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's a great point. I mean, what I heard over the past 2 days was specificity on our group, from everyone, I believe. Now, I didn't listen to 100% of the meeting. I will be honest there, but from the parts and portions that I did hear, everyone was specific to our community and understood. They might have used different language, but it was always specific to Black Americans who are descended out of U.S. chattel slavery. So I'm very encouraged, just like you, Arthur. I think our message is rising. I think that our message is the message that makes sense. I think that our message is the only message and the only pathway that gets us to the ultimate goal. So I'm very encouraged and I'm very excited, just like, the rest of my colleagues here after these past 2 days of meetings.
I want to get Cherie DC up here, our genealogist. I'm going to find the tweet where I put her up yesterday, because I thought what you said was powerful. Before COVID, NAASDLA used to do quarterly trips to the Mormon church over there on Wilshire Boulevard, because we wanted our community to have their genealogical records. We wanted them to know how to do this kind of research, and I'm looking forward to us being able to sort of get back into people, into space, and doing group things, because that's something people really enjoy. And I guess, I don't know, we think a little bit outside of the box, because, we are looking at the long term, like Chad just said. So Cherie, go ahead and unmic.
Hello, everybody. Hello. Whew, I had to take a deep breath. The past 2 days it's been a lot. I'm not even gonna lie, y'all. Like, especially after today and listening to the impact of like just the physical. I mean, we already know it's hard being Black, but just putting words to it and phrases like Black exhaustion, and it just made so much sense. So I just want to reiterate something I said in the room earlier when I was streaming. Like, please, y'all, take a moment and take care of yourselves. Like, I know we soldiers and we do this work daily, but that was heavy stuff that we listened to for the past 2 days. And I think we need to just take a moment and just love on ourselves, because we got to get right back up tomorrow and keep going. But specifically about the genealogy, and I really wish I was prepared to speak yesterday. It was kind of like they had extra time, and it was like people calling, all right, we getting in there. But definitely people doing their individual family history is so important. I hold rooms on Clubhouse, and we're trying to, kind of merge away from Clubhouse, just to hold space for people to have time to get on ancestry.com or familysearch.org, using online resources to start their genealogical search. It really is doable. Like, all them tropes about it's so hard, like, it can be hard, but especially if the proposed requirements are just to find one enslaved ancestor. For us, that bar is pretty low. We have a lot of ancestors but because of the challenges that we can find going down certain branches, because of what may have been happening at that time, or what may have happened to records or whatever, that could impact our success in research. So please check out my website. It's millennialreparationist.com. I have a genealogy tab on there. I've added a lot of resources to that tab. Again, on Clubhouse, Millennial Reparationist. I do it once a week, where I do lineage tracing rooms where you can come in and I'll help you trace your lineage. I try not to do anybody's work for them. There is so much power in doing this yourself. Like, I've learned so much about my own family, like, it just made sense, like knowing, tracing back and like, oh, wait a minute. I have a freed ancestor, like an ancestor that was born free, that still signed up and fought in the Civil War. That makes me, as an Army combat veteran, proud, like beaming with pride. And my father, and it just made so much sense how many veterans I have in my family. So, I mean, and we have so much more to unpack. And also, y'all, we coming for everything that's ours. You hear me? Everything. So we need to go down that list, everything that was taken from us. But that starts with doing your individual family history. And also, you can start with your family right now. Go talk to the elders in your family. If you can, record them, either with audio or video, and just let them talk. Ask them open-ended questions, because that'll give you little details that you might not have thought to ask about, like, where did you grow up, or what was it like when you were growing up? What's the oldest family members you can remember? Stuff like that. All of that stuff is so important. And you use that compared to the documents that you find when you're starting to do your research, and all of that kind of pieces together. DNA has its place, but I'm going to tell you right now, those DNA estimate stories are garbage. I actually tweeted about it and put 2 different tests up right side by side, same DNA sample from Ancestry. I took that test, and then I submitted the same data to what is that? My Heritage DNA. And just for context, they are owned by the same parent company. I got two totally different results. And actually the VP of Ancestry sent me a DM asking me, how could we, they improve the experience for us? Well, number one, stop lying to my people. Stop making up these bullshit stories and passing it along as if that's who we are. No, you can use your DNA if you upload it and find someone else who you have a DNA match with and then look at their family tree. But don't look at that DNA story as your own. And I'm sorry, I don't want to keep talking about genealogy. Please, y'all, show up to those rooms. I'm going to be doing offline, like Zoom, maybe on Discord, where you can see my screen and help you navigate Ancestry and these other sites so you can get further along in your research. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I'm a testament to that. I talk a lot of crap because I'm fortunate on my father's side, they have had family historians for generations. And so the family history on that side is very well preserved. On my mom's side, it's preserved because we have 5 generations walking this planet Earth at one time, which is very unusual. And having my great grandmother to be around and her brother and them living into their hundreds. There were things they didn't talk about, and then there were things they did talk about. And when it comes to those records, I encourage y'all to go back to where your family's from. My family, we have family meetings once a month, and I kind of give them like the reparations update. We do genealogy updates. But there was nothing like my cousin and I, and my cousin is raised in the town that we were from, but then he got in the military and he's been around the world. But he and I did the family research together. Like we were down at Halifax County in North Carolina during COVID with them people trying to not be helpful, but then they just kind of let us be because you had to make appointments and I don't know, it was COVID rules. And I know this is getting off subject and I want to bring us back on task, but finding out that your grandfather, great grandfather's property was in swampland. Well, why was it in swampland? Racism. That was all they was going to give those Negroes back then. And if they made it, great. And if they didn't, great. Like it was a win-win situation. It empowers you when you have those records, when you see those military records, when you see Freedmen hospital stay. For that's what it was for me. It wasn't, I ain't found nobody who had deposited any money yet, but the fact that they had to go to a Freedmen's hospital for whatever they had going on, and you see the receipt for that, like that stuff is invaluable, and it allows you to talk to people from a point of empowerment and not like you can't say anything because you don't know. The more you know, when people come at you, the more you can rebuke and rebut them, and it's very easy to do over time. Anyway, Black, I don't know what your name says, Black Pearl. I wanted to give you some space since you're up here on stage. What did you think of the past couple of
Hi,
days?
Friday. This is Marjorie. I just wanted to, and thank you, Chad, for this space. I just wanted to shout out Dr. Kayla, Mario, and everybody on the CJAC committee who talked with you all and with Dr. Weber. And I must say this, it has been a lot of ups and downs in this process. And there were times when I have disagreed with you all, and I have voiced that very clearly, and you all have disagreed with me. But what I appreciate is that when we're going through this process to determine how we're going to move forward, we talk with one another respectfully and we move forward. And we decided what we were going to ask Dr. Weber. And when you all had that meeting with her, I put that in the chat when I talked to you guys, when I was communicating with you guys, whatever you said to her resonated with her. And I remember Dr. Kayla calling me after the meeting just in tears. And so just to listen to Dr. Weber's testimony, reiterating what we've all felt and known all along, that reparations should go specifically to Black Americans who descended from U.S. chattel slavery, was just amazing. So I just wanted to kind of just remind everybody that this is a process, and it will continue, and just onward and upward with everything that we have to do, and we will do it. We're going to fight, we're going to argue, but we're going to move forward and get this done. So just shout out to everybody.
Yeah, thank you so much for that, Marjorie. You know, you are an integral piece of what we do. Yeah, in that conversation with Dr. Weber, I think she had all of us on the call kind of getting emotional because, you know, we had a down home kind of family conversation, right? And we all shared personal stories and we all shared kind of our feelings about, you know, this movement and this effort, right? And Dr. Weber has, like I said, been unwavering in her commitment that reparations are for the descendants of American slaves, you know, first and foremost. So to hear her deliver that, you know, so powerfully, you know, that kind of like made it was like, you know, cherry on top of the ice cream for us. I do want to kind of highlight something you said that I thought was very important. You know, at NAASD, you know, the local LA chapter, as well as CJEC Coalition for a Just and Equitable California, we are very much a bottom up, you know, organization and structure. So, you know, we were formed around allowing everyday grassroots Black folks to get their voices heard. And so there's no censorship, there's no silencing of any voices. You just heard Marjorie talk about, you know, there's been disagreements, but we know how to disagree without being disagreeable. We know how to continue working and to come to a decision so that we continue moving ourselves forward. And I think that was a big gap in kind of the former iterations of what we were doing. So I appreciate you saying that. And again, I always extend an invitation to the family because this is a collective movement and we are only as strong as our collective and our collective will to move. So I'm always extending to everyone, like, get involved, get engaged wherever you are. NAASD is a national organization. We have a chapter in Los Angeles, but there are also affiliate organizations all across this country. There's the Freedmen Organization. I see a couple of representatives here from that. Get engaged with the folks who are on the ground, who are organizing and who are actually making things happen, because that's the way that we've been able to be successful out here in California. I met this group in a back room at a coffee house back in 2019, right? And we didn't know each other. We were all strangers, but we all came together because we all believed in this and we all believed in each other. And we've been able to produce results by continuing to show up and continuing to work. And Marjorie, thank you for everything that you bring to the table, you know, in the CJEC meetings, in the organizing meetings. You are an absolute superstar in this movement. And I appreciate you just as I appreciate everyone here on the call. So that's it for me.
And I see Chairwoman Moore is back down in the listening space. I don't know if she has an answer to this, but I'm going to put the question out there, and Chad or Lori, maybe one of you guys can pull her up. You know, seeing the image of the doctors, the white doctors, and the woman who was on the table with the word notation that was written, which was so disrespectful to who she was. Unfortunately, we didn't have a name, and I wanted a name. So I just asked for prayers for her soul, because we don't know, you know, how she got there. If she died of natural causes, if she literally was killed, if she was being tested on for gynecological work and died in the process. Dr. DeGroy did not share, I think his last name was.
You're breaking up on us, Friday.
Yeah, we can't hear you.
Friday, we can't hear you.
Well, maybe we should go to another speaker until she comes back.
Yeah,
You
sure.
there? So maybe Amaru.
Hey, love, peace, reparation family. Big shout out to my California family, my California tribe out there holding it down, putting in that much needed work, keeping transparency and keeping everybody accountable. I really appreciate what I heard Dr. Weber said when she said what she said, and how she broke it down in the way that she did. How they are on top of that, when she was describing the community that should be the recipients, I think they was trying to get it in the got you moment when they asked about, well, what about the African Americans? Because it says African Americans with special emphasis on the enslaved African Americans. And when she eloquently broke that down and basically saying, and I'm paraphrasing, that yeah, these are for the African Americans that were free, but that was living in proximity along the ones that was enslaved. That every day, you know, they had a curfew, or they could be snatched up and they could have been put in chains. And she said, this is not for someone like a Marcus Garvey who just got here or read a couple books or whatever. She was very, very, very consistent in what she said, very clear. She spoke to with her whole entire chest, and she didn't falter in any form of fashion in what she said. So, I mean, you know, we was all in the chat, praise dancing and all that good stuff. You know, I'm a Southern boy, so that's what I say. Nonetheless, though, I definitely want to give a big shout out to Nasty for doing everything that they doing for Chad, Friday, Camila, every last one of y'all putting in that work and really pulling the heavy burden. You know, this right here. You know, I don't. You know, when it does reach the federal level, this whole country is going to have to take a day of atonement, or maybe a month after all the information that gets talked about. You know, when they talked about our sisters, or the sister that they use just as a guinea pig, you know, no cares, you know, just shit like that that breaks you down. You know, a grown tail man like myself felt that pain. You know, and how they talked about how they still, you know, even after death, our ancestors found no peace because they wanted the cadavers and they wanted to experiment and operate on the cadavers, stuff like that, you know, and y'all bringing that to light. Y'all not letting them run from it. Everybody just coming in, just sitting through that, they have to go through, they got to get that understanding. This is for the people of color, and as far as our immigrant class people, when they hear this, they have to see what we endured and what our ancestors was powerful enough to endure so that we can live today. So thank you guys for calling me up, and I definitely appreciate everything y'all doing.
Thank you.
Reparation.
And thank you for, you know, being consistent. I see you at every meeting, and I appreciate your support because it's just really great to have, you know, our comrades from across the nation show up for us. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
I see Chris Logsden is in the building. He was holding down the chat and making sure that we were able to keep it. We need to bring him up to be a speaker because I think, you know, I've worked with Chris. I think it's been like 3 years now. And I just mean the level of commitment and consistency and diplomacy that he brings sometimes is really unparalleled. And the work that is being done under CJAC and like Marjorie acknowledged, you know, all the members, ETN Media from Umoya and Kim, who, you know, they had their streaming on lock before the state had their streaming on lock. I think all of the different folks who are part of CJAC really, you know, come just heart in hand and ready to work. And Chris, if you could just talk a little bit about the community engagement plan that's unfolding. I know it's kind of unfolding in real time. And some of the wins that we walked away with today, that would be really great.
Yeah, no, I don't normally do this, right?
No, is he up? I thought he was up. There he is.
I just sent you an invite, Chris. Yeah, you got it.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
We got you. Yeah, y'all know I don't normally do this, right?
Come on, Brooklyn.
So go ahead, let's keep the party going. Nah, real talk. First, let me say this is my first spaces. You know what I mean? So I feel like I'm definitely doing it the first time in the right way with my colleagues, my comrades, my co-defendants, my family really from LA, NAASD LA, and everybody else everywhere. I'm looking in this thing right now. I'm seeing people that I've been rocking with since day one, day zero. So my day ones, my day zeros is in here. You know what I mean? And people that I just met right now, you know what I'm saying? And just meeting right now. So first let me say just love and appreciation. And I always start like this. Y'all really know that I show everybody love and appreciation for their effort, for their time, for their energy. Y'all know we put blood, sweat, tears, and more into this work from doing community meetings, going to community events, doing stuff online. We putting our own money in this. We paying half our rent and putting half the rest of the rent into, this work and really just, putting our whole everything into it. And I feel like our ancestors is happy with us. And also I want to say before I get to your question, Friday, because I'm not going to talk long, that everybody in here, and I said this in the chat today, and I say this all the time, everybody in here is part of history. You know what I mean? Every single body, every single person is sitting inside of a history book right now. Literally, right now, everybody's in a history book because we never did this before and we never got this far before. And I don't care if we agree on every single point, every single part, or we don't agree on every single point or every single part. We're going to get reparations. And that is something that I believe 100%. So let me get to your question on Friday. Real talk. We have been chosen, and I'm saying we here, Coalition for Just and Equitable California, CJEC. By the way, follow it if you're not following. We've been chosen as one of the 6 anchor organizations, 6 community anchor organizations that are going to be charged with doing a lot of the community engagement work. Now, y'all know that we've been doing community engagement work for California reparations since really before there was a California reparations task force, but really, really.
Hey, Chris, did he fall into the
Yes, he did. I
matrix?
thought it was my phone.
I done fell out so many times. I wasn't sure if
Yes,
it was him,
Chris. Okay.
if it was me.
Well, you can bring
Oh
Angela up.
man.
Can you bring Angela up until we can get Chris back, Chad?
Yeah,
Yes,
let's
we
let
sent her
her
an invite a couple of times. She has to accept
Oh,
it.
okay.
let her give us her secret bag of tricks, because Angela be first, like on fire. I think one day she's scared, honest to goodness, I think she's scared of it. Was like a scared straight with some of the commissioners, because her passion is unparalleled and she's unapologetic, and I freaking love it. I love it because she says it like she means it, and she gives it to you like every single time at 110%. What's up, Angela? You unmuted. Can you talk? No?
She's on mute still.
Uh-oh, I think she's driving.
Testing, 1,
There
2,
she
3.
goes.
I'm
There
driving.
you go.
I'm driving, but I live in the trenches, y'all. Can you hear me? Testing, 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me?
We got you.
You coming through?
I just love y'all so much. It's like crazy, like it's family. We fall in love, we fall out of love, we fall back in love. It's just been nothing but love as we fight together, like we understand what the common mission is, and we've been commissioned by the ancestors who has awakened within each and every one of us to do this work in a magnanimous way, in a very bodacious way, like, with the unmitigated gall to be live and in living color. And yes, I set it off because I get the early bird get the worm. I mean, truth be told, I'm working on my 100th draft, trying to cram everything I've got to say in 3 minutes.
Angela hit me. She was like, wait, I gotta tell her. She was this morning, she was like, when did it go from 5 minutes to 3 minutes?
Yeah.
Girl, it's always been 3 minutes, 550 words, 450.
I was getting fighting mad because Miss Powell had told me, you only got 3 minutes. I guess I have been telling Arthur Ward it's 5 minutes. I was all over the place. That's because it takes from the last hearing to the next one to craft and cram what I've got to say for the people in 3 minutes. And I'm just so grateful that they are my public comments. And I get to express myself, and I'm grateful to this task force. Oh my God. Like, I think about Black Excellence just put out a video about 12 other cities, including us, were in the Black Excellence YouTube video on the cities that are doing reparations. And all I can think to myself is how empty the reparations is for these other states. And I'm planning to do a show about it. Check me out on the Reparationist Perspective. I stream live too, growing my channel, and there's Politics in Black, ETM, the Mass Media Group. Like, we've got the reparations channels for you, and I'm looking forward to the day when we reach critical mass, like some of these other stations, like Tasha K, with 1 million subs. Like, that's what this work is about. And I believe that as long as we continue to lean in, I tell my audience all the time that the work happens when we're not on the lives. I come on, I try to get on there weekly since we're in midterms, but they don't get, and I tell them, I got to jump on meetings from 4 to 7 on Sundays. Chris be having us working day and night. And, so, and I'm affiliated with so many grassroots organizations and helping them put in work all over the country. Shout out to Kat out of the DMV. Oh my God.
Hassan, we see you.
Oh, Hassan is putting in work, and I just pull up the rear. I try to edit for them, and I make calls for them. I do emails for them, whatever she needs. She is such a soldier, and pretty much, she's Chris Lodgson out in the DMV in a skirt, okay, and whooping ass and taking names. I mean, crowbarring her way into situations, keeping her thumb on the pulse of everything legislatively that's going down. And I mean, by the time she's done, we're going to definitely have an office of Freedmen's Bureau in every place they got an office of New Americas. This is, I don't want to give away all her strategy, but she does not sleep, and she's keeping an eye on us. I thank you so much for supporting me during my lives when I'm streaming the task force meetings. It's such a heartfelt exchange going on over there. I just thank all y'all, and I'm just so grateful, that we can get past, whatever challenges we have to overstand the bigger mission is to tell Pharaoh to let our people go. I'm so proud of Chair Moore. Oh my God. I was just doing somersaults when she and Dr. Jovan were selected to oversee The Economist, and
that was so huge. That was a
so
win.
Epic. Oh my!
That was huge.
It was so huge, and just Dr. Weber. I know that that's a byproduct of CJEC's work, working with her to get that special language in there. And my God, when she stood on her square, because y'all done had conversations, they don't understand, folks. I try to tell them, y'all need to get in this movement and pick up a brick, because, there's a handful of us working this thing. And I had to set some folks straight, because one of the vloggers, on some entrepreneurial endeavors, that I watch on YouTube, was asked about, reparations, and she had the unmitigated gall and to say that we're a bunch of uneducated, hotep and broke folks. Oh Lord, she didn't know I was in the chat. She didn't know I was watching the live. I lost my ever-loving mind to let them know, that to whom much is given, much is required, and that the bulk of us doing all the heavy lifting Sleepless nights. I mean, I know I can't sleep, and if I can't sleep, can't nobody sleep. You know, the ancestors be speaking through all of us. Shout out to all the public comments. I think everybody got touched by a little TRP Nirvana. When I set it off, it just seemed to be set off for the duration. That hour today was unprecedented. I mean, the people that came through and how we stood on our square, how we put the gate up. I was over the moon thrilled to hear from the commenters today. I usually am impressed every day, but today we went overtime. But I'm all over the road. I don't want to, I was born to talk. But shout out to Chair Moore. She's beautiful and brilliant and so poised. I just marvel at the way that God shows up in each and every one of us to do this work. It blows my mind that we each come to this reparations movement with so many different gifts and talents and brilliance and the way we see things and the way we say things. I just marvel at God expressing through you guys. It blows me away how we do this on very little sleep. Friday, shout out to you, running nasty. Like, oh my God, like, just, hey, hats off to Tiffany. She's an unsung hero in this space. Like, y'all don't even know she's everywhere, pulling up the rear when folks ain't showing up to take their notes and making sure everything is running smooth in NASD LA, NASD, the national org, CJEC. Like, I could go on. Marcus, Chad, Lori, like, oh my God, I am blown away at the talent that God has placed me amidst.
We are who we have been waiting for. We are who we have been waiting for. And I've been saying that for a long, long time. And we feel you. We feel you.
And I'm going to let you go after this last point. I remember before I met you guys through the ADOS movement that we founded. Okay, I'm not going to be messy, but we all know the truth and I can keep it real. I remember prior to meeting you guys in the former ADOS movement, I felt like I was drowning. Things that kept me. Can you hear me? The call was trying to come through.
Uh-oh.
Hold on.
I was about
I
to
hope
say,
you can
did
still
she
hear
fall
me.
in the matrix?
Hold on.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Angela.
We're gonna come to Rob next after you, Angela.
I
I just want to let him
Can
know
y'all
'cause I know
hear
he's been
me?
waiting patiently.
I don't think
Yes.
she can hear us.
If y'all can hear me, I'm gonna say this last point and go. But I recall
Yeah, we got you.
feeling like I was
She
in a
can't hear
fishbowl,
us.
like I was operating out of a vacuum prior to coming to learn about this the ADOS movement that was in formation. After getting politically educated, I felt so alone amongst my tribe that I was engaged with prior to meeting you guys. At some of our very humble beginning meetings. And I remember feeling isolated. And then I marvel at the way we got politically educated and then we got to work. So I've managed to meet my tribe, folks that I was destined to get this work done with, like in a real way. Like, oh my God, like I had no comrades before you guys. I felt alone. And then we met each other all over the country and got to work. And we have had some bumps along the way, but we fell down, we got back up, and now we're running towards the victory, which feels very imminent and very near. I just thank God for you guys.
Yes, it is.
I'm going to jump because I got another call I got to go to, but this has been rich. Thank you. I'm riding high. Thank you.
Thank you, Angela.
Awesome. We're going to go to Rob. And now that we got Chris back, it'll be Rob. And then Chris, you can finish before you fell off.
Okay, can y'all hear me?
You good, Brother Rob?
All right, thank you. I've been listening, and I've been more excited with listening. But at the same time, I just really wanted to introduce myself to everybody, to the people, let y'all know where I come from. I'm from Birmingham, Alabama, the home of the civil rights movement. I mean, I ain't trying to brag on that, but I felt like the sister, like she just said, sometimes when I be trying to talk to people about reparations, it seems like it's falling on deaf ears. And when I asked the question on the Twitter earlier about ADOS and Freedmen, and the sister, she explained it to me so clear, and it couldn't have been more clear than it was. So that's why I'm in this space tonight. I mean, I see it's LA, California. Shout out to y'all out there for doing what y'all doing. But what I'm trying to do is get some done over here where I'm at. And I see that it's some ADOS Alabama, but I hadn't really got in contact or got in touch with nobody to further what's going on, what y'all got going on to make this thing nationwide. Because really it's a beautiful thing and it's time. And like the sister said, I'm a combat veteran too. And I've seen some things that done open my eyes to how this country really is. And I'm like, man, got to stand up for something, or I just keep falling for whatever they tell me. And it seems like it's a lot of people here. And you got to realize I'm in the South. I'm in Alabama. It's just me. Everybody, you know what I'm saying? They not like this. There's some people that might be more educated, but my thing is re-educate to educate. So I'm here, I'm learning. And if I can get in, or if y'all need me to do something over here, if I can link up with somebody.
Rob, I got some folks in Alabama. I got some cousins down in Alabama. They live on the Gulf. Let's talk in the DMs. My DMs stay open. NAASD, we're about to get our membership on and cracking. We had to hit the pause button to regroup and to sort of work out how we want it to be. As organizers, we were doing org circles. We're going to start bringing the org circles back. So hit me up in the DM. Make sure you follow NAASD and NAASDLA. Because we're in LA, but Nationals got you. I got folks down there in Alabama. We could chop it up a little bit.
Definitely.
We got you.
Definitely. And I just want to thank y'all for letting me up on the space to clear myself out and explain.
Yeah, thank you for your service.
Yeah, you welcome. Because like my grandfather, he was in World War II, and I've been doing the genealogy. I'm waiting on my the ancestry thing to come back so I can get on code with that. That's why Sister Cherie, I need to link up with her too, so I can get some more clarification about that. And furthermore, I appreciate y'all. And like I say, if I can get out here and let the people know, hey, this is what we fighting for. This is what belongs to us. We need to fight for it.
Let's go.
I'm a yield the flow on that. I'm gonna
go
back
with it. Thank you so much, Rob. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for letting us know who you are. We're gonna try and do more of these regularly. Chris, before you got caught by the Matrix, you were giving us some info.
Yeah. Hopefully y'all can hear me. And yeah, got cut off, but that's all good. Really, I'm not gonna talk long because I really just want to listen. And I did again just want to start with appreciation for everyone. Like I said when I first started, just want to give everybody love and your flowers because you deserve it, and we are gonna get reparations. The other thing I want to say is that we are a official community anchor organization as CJEC, and as part of that task and that charge as an official anchor organization on behalf of the California Reparations Task Force, we are going to be holding at least 2 community listening sessions to really engage and educate our community on the ground about California reparations. And that is a tremendous honor. It's a tremendous opportunity. And that is a part of the California Reparations Task Force's overall community engagement plan. They have approved about 12 listening sessions, and they have chosen 6 community organizations to hold 2 each. And so we are holding 2 of those. We've chosen at least one date so far, June 19th, 2022. So look out for us there. But we're going to be doing stuff before Juneteenth. Also, check us out in Richmond on March 1st. I'm sure we'll be doing some stuff for Black History Month also, and I'm sure we're going to have some stuff in between Black History Month and our official listening session on Juneteenth. But I do want to just get to the topic at hand here really too. I want to thank Chair Moore, who I believe is in the building here. Chair Moore has been an amazing just, I mean, I don't even know what to say. Like it's just real. It's I feel honored and I feel humbled to even be in her presence here, because she is the first ever chair of a statewide reparations commission. There's never been somebody like her before. There's never been this job before. And I feel lucky and blessed to even be in her presence here. And I think y'all have seen from her performance and from how she's leading, as a millennial Black woman, how she's leading this effort. I think we need to honor her and give her flowers, because she is, like we are, like I said, sitting in the history book right now. Other thing I want to say is I think we all turned a corner this week. I think we all turned a corner, specifically with the amazing, inspiring testimony of Dr. Weber. We met with Dr. Weber, Secretary of State Dr. Weber. We met with Dr. Weber a couple of weeks ago, our team here in California, just to reaffirm our shared understanding of what the special consideration language means in AB 3121. It was members of our team, Marcus Champion, who's in the House right now too. Marcus is the author of that special consideration language in the state bill, AB 3121. And we wanted to meet with her, Dr. Weber, again to reaffirm that, and we did.
Hey,
And
I told you about that shit, man. We all did that. That was all of us.
I'm giving you all the credit, brother.
Everybody want to be humble.
Yeah, I'm
Everybody
saying,
want to be
I don't care
humble.
about credit.
And we gotta be allowed to love on you
I'm
too,
saying,
and all of y'all.
thank you. I appreciate it. I had a little part, I'm saying, I may have edited it a little bit, I'm saying, I may have changed the letters from blue to, red or something like that, but this is really just a testament, to the work of regular Black folks who just got engaged in their politics and just got engaged in their life, really, and the life of their city and the life of their state and the life of their people through reparations, right? And we just regular Black folks. Let's just keep it real. We just regular Black folks. We got jobs, we got kids, we got things going on, we got rent. Like we just regular Black people. But we wanted to meet again with Dr. Weber in the last couple of weeks to again reaffirm what we all meant by that special consideration language. When we got the bill, AB 3121, it just said African Americans. So that wasn't going to do, right? Because we have a specific understanding of who we think are eligible for reparations, and that's those of us who descend from persons enslaved in this country, whatever label you use for that, right? I'm not so concerned about the label. I'm more concerned about the definition, right? So that is exactly what we wanted to reaffirm. And I think when Dr. Weber pulled up and, as Angela said, stood on her square and made it plain and made it loud and clear, I think we all turned a corner this week. The entire reparations movement turned a corner toward reparations for those of us who descend from U.S. slavery. Last thing I'll say is I told the team when we started meeting again this year that this would be the year that we would finally see the real enemies of reparations. Okay, up until now, and this is my opinion, up until now, we have not seen no real enemies of reparations yet. We may have seen people who have different understandings of what reparations should be, who should be eligible,
Nah, we
how to be
found one about
implemented.
2 weeks ago, Chris.
No,
We
right.
found one on
Right.
YouTube.
Right. Well, this is the year that we would see the real enemies of reparations, and we are seeing them, right? And they will be here this year, right? So I just want to put that out there that this is the year where we're going to have to fight the real enemies of reparations, and I'm looking forward to it. Okay, I'm looking forward to it. So
We here for it.
that's all I got.
Thank you so much, Chris. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for all you do. It is 6:51. I see now how these rooms be going on for hours because you look up and it's, you know, there's more to be said. But we're not gonna do no 14-hour room and become international. Not tonight. Not this time. Blessed
Friday,
finesse.
can I jump in with just one thing?
Of
Because
course.
I echo all the comments that Chris just made. Giving flowers to Camilla, giving flowers to all the hardworking grassroots organizers out here in California and just across the nation. Also wanted to call out the group from ETM Media. As you guys know, this task force is historic, and there has been only one Black media outlet that has consistently been live streaming these meetings, and that's ETM Media, Mend the Mass Media out of Sacramento. That's Co, Amoya, Kim, Mims. So I just wanted to give them some flowers too, because they are covering this meeting when no other Black media outlets were doing so. And also to Angela as well, to the reparations perspective, her flowers as well, because she's also been rebroadcasting these meetings. So just wanted to let y'all know, that's the type of work that's getting done, out of this team, out of this group. It hasn't, and like you heard Chris said, we're putting our own money into this. Nobody is funding us. We're doing this out of love. We're doing this out of passion, and we're doing this out of a commitment to our people and our future. So with that, I'll yield.
Yeah, and I'm sorry. I want to acknowledge some of the national folks I see in here too, because we do work at the national level and we hold these meetings and we do this strategy. I see Lucretia's in here. I see Gerard is in here. Kieran from LA, from the LA team, is up in here. I just wanted to recognize you guys too, because California has that disaggregation bill on the floor. And it came up, I believe it came up during the AB 3121 hearings. And we at the same time are trying to work similar language at the federal level. So when it's enough work for
Hassan is here
everybody.
too.
I shouted out Hassan earlier,
And
but I'll shout
Dana.
her out again.
Yeah, don't
I
forget Dana.
absolutely will. Cap is up in here. We want to give her flowers because the work she does, you guys don't know. I gave her a massive list, and when she called you, remember, it was in this room. You heard it first. That's who's going to be calling you to get you on nationals and find something for you to do. So I'm going to turn it over to Blessed Finesse. Come on up in here, sir.
Thank you. Good evening and peace and reparations, family. Peace and reparations, man. Hey, I'm just happy. I'm here to celebrate. I'm not here to argue. I just want us to, breathe and sit in our thing, because as Chris was saying, we seen the co-opting yesterday. If you were watching it, you saw it. It was in our face, and we can't. Everything we've been saying that we knew was true is now coming to the light. We're not xenophobic. People are co-opting. People are misrepresenting us in political media spaces, etc. So we just got to keep fighting the good fight, and we can't get discouraged. And we got to take these wins when we get them, and understand that we are the grassroots. We are the people. Shout out to all of us. Shout out to Camilla, of course, but shout out to all of us. We all been putting in these hours and putting in this work on and off these apps. And it really makes a difference. And I know, because I get the DMs and messages from people. I get the thank you, I didn't understand. You're right. From all different immigrant groups and from our own people who don't understand the message. So, we got to just keep fighting the good fight, y'all, and just relish in our victory today, because it's a slow process, but it's worth it. And it's really fast considering how long we've been doing this, and we re-brought this thing up. Don't let these people get in your head and discourage you. If you need to take a break from these apps, take one. Come back rejuvenated. We still love you. We understand. We overstand. Peace and reparations, family.
Peace and reparations. And I want to drop. I dropped this
Let me
post on
jump in real quick.
the Jumbotron. Hold
KJ.
on one second. there is no sleep for the grassroots who are in the trenches. Grassroots leadership are doing the work while managing exposure from these traumas. That was from one of the doctors who presented today at the task force, and she talking about us. She's talking about us. So yes, take a minute to breathe and let's be celebratory with each other. This is a high for us. This is the work paying off. And so go ahead, Marcus.
Yeah, I'm just gonna pile on real quick the Camila love, because like Chris talked about, we are CJ. We've been doing this since before AB 3121 was even a bill and it was a resolution. And so after the bill passed, the job wasn't finished. We started from there looking for good candidates that we wanted to recommend for the task force. And so several of us actually applied to the task force. And, Camila was one of the people that we put down as, we put down several of our members as recommended people for the task force. And a bunch of us applied. Camila, I think, waited until the last day, because we had checked in, like, did you apply? Did you apply? Did they call you back for an interview? Did you get your interview? Whatever. And Camille was like, I didn't even apply yet. We were like, you better send that shit in. And so I think she applied on the last day. And thank God she did, because, she's the one who was meant for this. She's the one who got chosen. And like everybody said, like, she's done the job that needs to be done so far. And, I'm proud of what she's doing. I'm proud that she's, been a part of our body. And I'm just proud, this process going forward. So I'm just piling on the love.
Yes.
So can I jump in real quick? I kind of want us to shift the conversation and focus on Dr. Weber and her words and its potential impact across the country, because as we know, as California goes, so goes other states and the nation. And one of the things that everybody can do, whether you're involved in a group or if you're, meetings or do whatever, but as just a regular everyday person, find some of the tweets and some of the articles that have already been written about our words, and tag as many news outlets, mainstream news media, celebrities, and things like that as you can, to try to amplify that message, because we want those words to set precedent for federal reparations eligibility. And I think by amplifying that, they're not going to be able to escape that. And everybody, let that be the first words that the mainstream hear, as opposed to the arguing and the back and forth that has been taking place in order to define it. Let them hear the definitive words of the author of the first reparations bill in the country, state who the eligibility is, and we need to amplify that as much as we can.
110%, Lori. Thank you for that. Yes, the national implications are huge. Bella, I see your hand is up. So I'm gonna ask you to unmute yourself. Rella and Stephanie, who does Black Political Swingers, and I see she's down here too. She's in the room. They've been hosting some spaces with these Black reparations candidates. So it's very, very awesome to see you in the space with us, Rella.
Thank you so much. And I just wanted to just give you guys all your flowers. Everyone who actually participated, just to watch you guys, to see how poised you are, is a testament to our lineage. Dr. Weber, Dr. Joy DeGruy, and the other wonderful women who were speaking, and men. I wanted to also just bring the attention to, as someone who was born in Centinela Hospital, raised in Inglewood, California, went to Morningside, a Monarch alumni, grew up on 104th and Crenshaw. It was very both bittersweet but hurtful somewhat when I heard one young lady come on, and she was saying that how her parents came in the 1950s from the West Indies, and how she didn't want to be felt to be left out. And I could not help but think about my grandfather, who was a World War II veteran, and my grandmother, who was a nurse, growing up in Inglewood, and listening to that person, try to take the onus and make it into her own, because somehow she would feel left out, or her parents, because of our melanated skin and shared experience with racism and supremacy. but my lineage dates further back than 1950s. And so I didn't get to call in to give our story, but I will make sure I do next time. But I didn't get to call in and tell our story. But I think there was a gentleman by Amaru. He came on and he spoke so eloquently when he said, the same thing that Dr. Weber said. This is a lineage fight. And in Los Angeles, for us who are born and raised from the mud, the difference in understanding what the Ku Klux Klan did to our families through that time, who were trying to push us out so hard to the point where I remember stories of my dad saying they delighted in going to Morningside every day so that they can beat all of them on the field as an athlete to excel in the eyes of poverty, or having parents who were working all the time. Like it is so detrimental that we truly get people who need to understand why our repair has to happen. And it has nothing to do about being xenophobic or, having the onus of not or leaving someone behind. It really just is to say that my back can't carry us no more if I can't repair myself. And I really wanted to just say that. And shout out to Black Political Swingers. Shout out to the team, all of us who are really taking our, cues from you guys, the NAASD and Friday, for the person that you have been to me, since I've lost my mother. I just want to just say thank you. I want to say thank you to Camilla, Marcus, all of you guys, Chad, Boogie. I can't wait to meet you guys in person. And thank you so much, so much. And peace and reparations, for real.
Peace and
Yo,
reparations.
Thanks,
shout out to my
Lola.
family from Inglewood, not to be confused with Inglewood family. Just have to show that extra love there.
Look, I almost did it, but okay, I won't.
Oh my goodness. We got Brother Gerard in the building. You up here as a speaker. Let's speak. We're gonna close the room, you guys, at 7:15. We've had a phenomenal 48 hours, and yeah, there's been no sleep. I worked to 3 p.m. or a.m. In the morning. It's a.m. I worked to 3 a.m. To make sure that I could be available for these hearings today. And so, we do the work, we do what we got to do. And so I'm so glad that it's the long game. This is the what is it? Chestnut checkers. We playing the long game, and I'm here for it. And I'm happy to be here with all of you. Gerard, you got the floor, bro.
Thanks, Friday. I actually didn't have much to say, and I was a speaker by accident. And so, but I'm just going to echo the sentiments of everybody, just so happy and proud of all the work that, NASD and CJAC is done so far. And yeah, the transparency of the task force and everything is it's just truly amazing. I'm just like really proud to be able to say I will work, side by side with a lot of you guys. Have been looking up to most of you since the ADOS days and everything. So to be a part of it, it's really like amazing to me, and fills me up, make my heart whole. So just happy and proud of all of you, and Camilla is doing a great job as the chair. It's just amazing to see the work that is being done, and yeah, we're really the ones, and we're making it happen, and just proud of everything. So yeah, peace.
Thank you, Gerard. I just want to really, again, just allow us to wash in Dr. Weber's words and the things that she said, that were so impactful and so meaningful. And Dr. Weber, I believe, is a professor of ethnic studies. She created the ethnic studies bill, and for her to really get into her personal experiences. This morning, I know during the testimony, I really wanted to make the lineage perspective tied to the law. were your ancestors the 3/5 human that was part of the original Constitution? Did Plessy and Ferguson, separate but equal, affect your family until Brown versus the Board of Education came into law? Were your ancestors part of California had a escape slave bill? Was the Casual Killing Act something that your ancestors would have been subject to? We don't make these claims devoid of actual history and devoid of law. The hereditary slave law, which means that if you were born in from slaves, that you stayed a slave. I think it's very important, when people hear us, it's not about xenophobia. We have family folklores and histories, and like I said, I've done the genealogy work to see my folks go from black from black to Negro to colored to mulatto, and then go back to the name of some town down south. Like that's like real. You can't tell someone to forget about that. You can't say that, oh, you're not supposed to have this experience where you come from people who tried to be sharecroppers until the Halifax County, again back there in North Carolina, decided y'all sharecroppers got to go, and they just moved people away and put a prison there. People don't understand like what we as a people in this country have been through. And when they say, oh, well, you don't fight, our fights have really been international. We have been the spark around this world, and you can't take that from us. And so I just want to end this room in a good place. We had a good day, like Ice Cube would say, today was a good day. If anybody wants closing words that has a speaker, now's the time to just get your final words and your final thoughts in. But now's the time where we can sort of take a breath and recharge, because we get to come again. We get to fight another day, and we're here for it.
Yeah, Friday. No, you always get me fired up, and I agree with everything that comes out of your mouth. The last thing I would say is, advocacy continues, folks. So, get engaged, cjecofficial.org, NAASD.org, or NAASDLA.org. As you heard Friday say, we are kind of rebooting our membership drive, and we're looking to get folks engaged. I heard the brother from Alabama, from Birmingham. I'm from Jackson, Mississippi. So I understand kind of where you at. I've spent a lot of time in Birmingham. We want to connect with you, and we want to give you the tools to be successful in your local area. And that just goes for everybody. So, connect with us, let us know what you're dealing with, and let us see how we can help you. And the last thing I'll say is, if you haven't been tuned in to Politics in Black, we continue these conversations there on a monthly basis. Our next one is this coming Sunday. We're going to have Dr. Grills from the California Task Force. She's going to come and join us. And so, some of those questions that folks have been wanting to ask Dr. Grills, show up, put those in the chat, let us know. We've got a set of questions for her as well, but I think it's going to be a good conversation. We're also going to have with us some representatives from the Emmett Till Justice for Families in Mississippi Foundation. And we're going to have the parents of Kendrick Johnson, the young man who was found, brutally maimed and rolled up in a gym mat. So, we're going to be talking about some very serious issues and some very serious things affecting our community on Sunday. So that's Politics in Black this Sunday, 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Look forward to seeing you there.
All right, and I got to shout out, Bill is in the building. You know who he is, bringing me back, hitting me up out the blue. Is this from me naming blocks and streets like me? What's up, Bill? You in the building? I see you down there. This is a family affair. It's a pleasure to be of service. To Angela's point, when you do this work, it brings meaning to your life. I'm so joyful when I see kids, the families that we have, Chad's family, Marcus and Natalie's family, all of Tiffany's little cousins hanging around. Like, I love when we see that, because it means that the work that we doing, like, that's the legacy that's for them. And so it's an honor to be of service. You will be able to check Chad and I out this Sunday. We thank you so much for spending your is this Friday evening for real? We thank you so much for spending your Friday evening here with us. We will try and do this again. Debriefing after these big events. It's a way for us to connect. It's the way for us to stay lifting each other up. And so we definitely will plan to do this again. Oh, we got you on stage. I didn't see you. I'm so glad you put your hand up. Get on in here, Black Political Swingers, and we're gonna close the room out.
Hey everybody, I usually don't like to speak in public, but I just wanted to say I really enjoyed the task force reparations meeting today. I was there for yesterday and today, and I streamed it on my channel as well and tried to get the word out. I definitely appreciated the mental health portion with the doctors, their testimony, the things they discussed. It was very near and dear to me because we do have a lot of mental health in our communities, and I personally have it in my family. So that meant a lot for them to address that and just to explain why reparations is so important because of the mental illness that our people endure. Everyone is, I don't even know what to say. I'm in awe. Like everyone's just doing such a great job. I'm speechless with NAASD Friday. Pretty much everyone in here, I've seen you guys either through Clubhouse or on Spaces, and I just know everyone, people in this room are working really hard, and then even some who are not in this room. And of course, everyone knows I always have to shout out our reparationists who are running for office this year in the midterm elections. So we have Tamara Johnson-Shealy running out of the state of Georgia. She's running for the Senate seat and then against Warnock. And then we have Marcel Dixon running in the state of South Carolina against Clyburn, who everyone, we all hate him, so he's got to go. And then we have Brandon Dean. He actually just qualified, paid his qualifying fee, so he's still in the race. And he's running out of the state of Alabama for the Senate seat. And we have Christopher Leggett running as mayor out of Augusta, Georgia. And Reverend William Somerville running out of the state of California for Congress. So we have 2 people running for House of Representatives, 2 running for Senate, and 1 running for mayor, and they're all reparationists. So of course, if you guys want to donate, offer any support, volunteer, you just go to the website, blackpoliticalswingers.com, or you can email me at blackpoliticalswingers@gmail.com. And I just really appreciate everything everyone is doing. It's been incredible. I look forward to working with you guys more. I've signed up with the Capital Task Force in the DMV. They just approved my membership. So I'm excited to get going with them and just keep pushing. I love you guys, and peace, love, and reparations.
We love you, Samantha.
Peace, love, and reparations, Samantha. All right, you guys. It's a wrap. It's been real. I'm about to go make some dinner for my granny, and I'm gonna act like it's Friday.
Friday.
Yes.
I just wanted to say that the clip from Martin Luther King Jr., my sons were in the car, and my son goes, Mom, he said we got to emancipate ourselves.
Oh,
and
yes.
I said, yes, we do, honey. We sure do. So I just really wanted to see if you guys can post that clip. And mind you, that was coming from a 8-year-old who was listening. So
did you send it to me? Send it to me.
No.
Do you have it on your Twitter?
No, you guys played it it was played during the
Oh, so it's in our toolbox already. Oh,
yes,
okay.
yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it was one of the witnesses Friday that played it during testimony. But we can definitely pull that and we can post it.
Please, because I would definitely love to get it to the kids' school so that is something that they have for Black History Month.
I'm with it. Let's do it.
Yeah.
All right, you guys. Peace, love, and reparations.
Peace, love, and reparations, family.
All right, you guys.
Peace, fam.
Reparations or revolution.
Revolution.
All right, y'all. Everybody have a good weekend.
Go have a drink, y'all. You deserve it.
Mm-hmm.